What is up, guys? It is the Awesome Island Adventurer here, back at it again with another video. Now today, we're going to be looking at an October 2021 tier list. This tier list, though, is created before the Halloween update, so we still haven't figured out the viability of the 4 new minifigs, skeletons, and I think Malik is his name. However, we are going to be looking at the current selection and roster of characters, and we're going to be going through each tier. I'll be explaining most of the picks. Starting in the S tier, it is very samey for a lot of characters. I did put Ernest in the S tier, as I really believe that his passives and his damage output is just very good, especially for being a support, as well as possible AoE, passive block, all that kind of stuff. Any other picks really in here that really stand out? Corn Cob guy, I would say, is definitely like bottom of S tier, definitely top of A tier, but I decided to put him in S tier. Now, looking in the A tier, we can see that Willa, Basil, and Aurora have a +1 next to them. And explaining what these are, the system is basically a +1 or 2 means that when in the right team composition, this character jumps up a tier. And with Basil and Willa, they jump up a tier, up to S tier when together. However, this tier list is looking at standalone viability, and Basil by himself is not as good. Still very good. And Willa by herself is not very good. It's still very good. However, when together, I think they belong in the S tier. Aurora, in PvE content, her survivability that she gives to the team with the Ice Glider is so crucial for some of that end game PvE content. The ability to just revive is so important, especially if you're running a city team. Another pick as well, Chef. I really do believe Chef definitely belongs in this tier with his speed up that he grants the entire team, as well as other buffs, his pet manipulation, dizzy, as well as being paired with the Ice Glider, I think really makes him an incredible character for the city faction. Demolition Dummy, I think, is slept on hard. I think Demolition Dummy, people don't realize that if an enemy or you take damage from a dot, that still heals Demolition Dummy. And so any damage has a chance to just heal him straight up. And when paired with stuff like Hiker, is just incredible for just trying to even target Hiker down. Definitely not top tier, but definitely not B tier. Now, the question mark here, you'll see twice, with York and Zombie, and this is due to the reworks coming out pretty soon. We don't know if York will still be a +1 from the new Skeleton Army, or Spooky Army, faction that's coming out. Besides that, Fitness Instructor, when paired with Super Wrestler, I think goes straight into the A tier, but by herself, I think is standalone for the most part. Another character in this tier list, Princess Argenta, I think could be A tier. However, just the way that she's farmed and the way that her accessibility just makes it the same situation as Hank, where yes, you're better, but you're not as accessible, especially free-to-play farm-wise, and I think that really hurts these characters' viabilities for the most part. Now, Argenta did get a node, right? But that is a 12 energy monolith waste node. I don't think that just instantly makes her like farmable to the extent that she would be if she was on a lower energy node in monolith waste. However, that is still very crucial to her ranking, and I think she definitely lands a spot in the B tier. Now, looking at the C tier, there isn't much in here. Clockwork, I really just don't think has a spot in this game. You could say techie, but there's just better options. And Spaceman Reed, I really think, when paired with the full classic space, is definitely an A tier, but by himself, not really anything special. Commander Cold, I think, is C tier. Requires a lot of setup to be completely useful. However, when in the right team compositions, specifically a Cold team, I think he really excels. Moving on to the D tier, we can see Ray is a +1. With a full Ghostbusters team, he's not completely awful, but he's still kind of awful. I would say Private LaCoy is a +1, mostly due to being on an Imperial team. If you were to have him on an Imperial team, he does 140 damage on a basic, and his damage output, he's an attacker, so he still does a decent amount of damage. But his entire use is just for payback and basics, and he does get bonuses from the sect and the other characters' passives. Hot Dog Man in a costume team, I think, really works as a +1, but he's still very lackluster, and there's so many better options for a collectibles team. Blacktron Dwayne, with the reworks to the Blacktron set, I really think really boosted his viability in terms of he's no longer E tier, he's D tier, and I think he's +1 when on a fully maxed ACO. Now moving on to E tier, this is where I think Zombie would be. Iggy would definitely be F tier if it wasn't for the fact that his ultimate lands about 3 debuffs and Dizzy and Heal Block, which are very good. However, mediocre damage and everything about him is just awful. Zombie, who knows? With his boosting of damage when he gets revived with the spooky army, he could be incredible. Well, I wouldn't say incredible, but he could be better and no longer just complete garbage. Cactus Girl, I think, is +1 in the full costume team. However, there's just better options, like I said. And last and certainly least, we move on to the F tier. Nothing redeemable about these guys. They're just completely awful. Way better options. There's nothing that you can really find that would work. Because at least with E tier, Headley was a good early game tank. Poppy with Lighthouse could do something, I guess. And the buffs that she gives does increase her healing with an Arctic Ice Glider. But beyond that, there really just isn't anything in this F tier that makes them just anything. Like, if they were deleted, it just doesn't... Nobody would care. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this video. I do hope you enjoyed. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.